Hi, I'm Dr. Gina Innocenti of the GIA Institute of Psychotherapy, and you're watching South Jersey Business with Joe Molineaux.
Welcome to South Jersey Business with Joe Molineaux. Thank you for joining us as we share information, tips, and techniques that can make our business community and your business more successful. Thank you to Stockton University for the opportunity to produce this show focusing on business in South Jersey. In just a moment, we'll talk with Dr. Gina Innocenti of the GIA Institute of Psychotherapy. I've known Gina for quite some time, and I have watched her grow a practice and a family with professionalism, integrity, and thoughtfulness. So let's get right down to business with today's featured guest, Dr. Gina Innocenti of the GIA Institute of Psychotherapy. Gina, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Joe. Great to be here.
Let's just jump right into it. Tell me about your entrepreneurial journey. What was that light bulb moment that you wanted to take your education and turn it into a business?
I think there were two light bulb moments. One was when I decided to move into private practice, and I was working in an agency, and everything was great, but I just found all the systems in place and whatnot just for a big distraction. Like, I just really felt I needed to, again, the systems were fine. It was just, I needed to be free of distractions, so I wanted to work for myself. And that was as simple as that. I just didn't want that anxiety of like bosses and all of that kind of stuff. So that was the first. And then the second was when I finished my doctoral program, realizing like, oh my God, this field has changed so much and there are so many new modalities, and I can no longer just take a call and say, yeah, I can help you with this when I know that somebody else can help you better than I can. So that's when I started bringing people on and starting a team group practice.
That's really great. So some people might wonder, and this is our first venture into covering mental health and wellness as part of the business show, and people may be tuning into a business show and saying, well, why are you covering that? And of course, we're going to talk about your business model, and we're going to get you to answer the M4 big money question about how you operate the business. But can you talk about that important piece? Because you provide a vital service, not just to the community at large and residents of the community, but also these are people that work in the community. So you're actually helping them deal with issues that can help them be stronger and even more productive, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I think that's, the healthier we can get people, the healthier they're going to contribute to community, I mean, community is a series of relationships with people. So, if we can get people feeling better and doing better, they're going to do better work themselves.
Now, you operate two distinct businesses. Yes. You have the practice that sees patients regularly, then you do the institute, the GIA Institute. Correct. Now, while I'm sure there's similarities, what are some of the differences in how you operate the two businesses?
So, so there's the practice, which I have therapists who work for me. We see clients, and then we have the institute, which is sort of an internship after people graduate, and it's where you don't get as much hands-on experience as you need in graduate school. So that's where we bring people on. We pay them to do an internship to see clients, but they get supervision, a lot of supervision during that time. So they might see 5 to 10 clients, but they'll get 4 hours of supervision, and they won't have to pay for it because it's expensive. You have to do that for at least 2 years before you can get fully licensed. So, the nice thing is I get to still practice, so the Institute sees clients just like the practice sees clients. Without that educational component to it. And then I get to feel out who I want to hire at the end of that. So.
I would call that a win-win-win.
Yes,
You're
it's
actually
really a win-win-win.
Yeah, you're helping the community by doing the service. Right. You're helping the future therapist and get the experience they need. And you're also helping yourself by looking for the cream of the crop, could we say.
So in every way. And, they get to offer services at a lower price, too, so it really does open us up to, greater segments of the community, so everybody can find a therapist to work with.
I know you really well, and I know you approach things, you do an amazing job, so this question is going to be a little hard to ask, and you help people every day, so I'm sure there's so much good that comes out of that. But are there a few challenges that come up in operating the business, things that you could point to that, because it can't be all, good, but I wish it was, and I hope it is. Right. But what are some of the challenges you face?
I mean, I think just, figuring out, that's a tough one. Well, I think the nature of the work itself, can be like, the best part of this work is also the worst part of this work. Like people let us into their lives, and like we're dealing with really painful stuff that's happened to them.
Yeah.
People telling us, things that are just difficult to hear sometimes. So that's probably one of the biggest challenges. But it's also, the best part of it. Like we get to watch people grow from, their challenges in life and what they've been through. So
The reward is worth any challenge that you
Absolutely.
face.
Sure.
That's
So,
great.
From working with clients, I think that's, one of the best and worst parts of the job. So.
How about we switch gears to business? What's one of the most important business lessons you've learned in operating your own, two of your own businesses?
I'll tell you, it's listening to people. I mean, I think that's critical. A happy staff creates, like a better outcome for your product, and makes happy clients. So I think it's so important to. I hold a structure for sure, but I give people a lot of freedom also within that structure. And it works with their lives, and so I think really hearing what people need and what they need, and then responding to it.
It's all about the balance, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Speaking of balance, we're going to take a break here, and we're going to be back, so sit tight.
Got it.
Let's check out how you can connect with South Jersey business through social media, and then we'll be right back with more business talk featuring Gina Innocente of the GIA Institute of Psychotherapy. We're back with today's featured guest, Dr. Gina Innocente of the GIA Institute of Psychotherapy. Gina, again, thank you for being part of the show.
Thanks for having me.
How do you describe success?
Well, I think, obviously, having a business that's financially viable is critical, and we all want to make some money. But I always say that, I want to create a service that I myself would use, and I think we're there. And that definitely defines success. Like I'd want to come to me or come to my colleagues, for therapy if I had to.
That's great. So speaking of success, you were talking earlier about you're in growth. You're still in growth mode.
Yes.
You're always in growth mode, right? So what goes into those decisions? Because you have to look at balancing everything, space and time, and the availability of therapists and people you work with. But are those all the things, or is there other things that go into the decision? And can you talk about a little bit that? Do you sit and you actually look at growth strategy and say, this is what I want to accomplish?
Yeah, they're definitely, you look at numbers, projections, all of that kind of stuff. And I think, bigger isn't always better, obviously, but I think at this point, being alone in private practice, again, there's been such an explosion in mental health. And there are all sorts of different practices that we use and modalities we use. I can't possibly be skilled in all of them. I might know a little bit about all of them. So I think there's sort of this, we have to do something different. We have to be bigger and operate more as a group. But it goes all sort into looking at where do we allocate our money, how much do we grow, what kind of space do we need. And one of the best things I did, I hired a consulting team, Align Consulting, and they were wonderful in helping me to do all of that. I spent a lot of time with them for months just going over this and running numbers and seeing what would be, the best route to go. So, and I like that they didn't try to put their ideas into it. They just took my ideas and said, how can we make this work financially? Which was great.
That's a great approach. I'm looking at this from the outside, but I do listen to a lot of people and watch what's going on. Is it a fair assumption to say that there's not enough people doing the work you do in our community specifically to cover the need? Yeah,
I would say that for sure. And that's since the pandemic, it has just exploded, and, I've never seen so many people needing help and wanting help. The stigma has been taken out of it a lot, since then. So I don't think we're keeping up with it. And so what's happened is schools are spewing people out, because so many people are going into it. And so people are coming to the field not quite ready for it, or just needing more supervision than what they've had. So I saw a real need there. Okay, this is what, from a business angle and just as a therapist, this is where there's a big need. And that's to train people to do the job better, faster, and get, up to speed.
And that's where the Institute comes in. Okay, because you talked about that earlier. Right. So, during the time of you building the business, you've also built a family.
Yes.
So can you talk a little bit, because this is always an important question
Sure.
for people, how do you balance? I mean, you're running full steam in the business,
Sure.
and I know you're running full steam
I
on
am,
family.
yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about that balance and maybe some help you have in that balanced life?
I mean, I think that's the toughest challenge for everybody, probably, to finding that balance. Especially, you know, I'm 52 and I have an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old. So I see why people do this at 25 rather than 45, right? Because you have a lot more energy then. But I think there are a couple of things. One, you know, the nights when I'm going to be home, like I just have to shut, you know, everything down. Like that's it. Phone off, computer off. Put everything away and just go, like no matter what I'm doing, because there will always be something else to do in business, always, you know.
Absolutely.
And sometimes I might pick it up at 11 o'clock at night. That's fine after everybody's asleep and do whatever. But it just has to go down and be left at work. And then I like to bring my kids into the office a lot, you know. So they'll come we have Thursday night dinners where they come and we all sit there and, you know, the staff comes out and meets them. So I also like to merge those two worlds, you know. So the kids are comfortable hanging at my office. If I have to run in to see someone, they can go play in the art therapy room or something for the hour. And
Does the
it's
entire
nice.
family participate in that
Yeah.
Thursday night dinner? You
Well,
bring
not
everybody?
the whole family, not the
No,
extended
not the
family.
extended family, but
yeah,
your
all-
immediate-
yeah,
your
all of us,
immediate
yeah,
family.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's great.
So we try to do that.
There's a smile on your face as you're talking about
Oh,
this
yeah.
work. So I guess the other question I would have would be, what do you enjoy most about the team you interact with at work, as well as maybe the people you work with each and every day? What do you enjoy most?
I just love being part of the community where everyone's so invested in growing and learning and helping. And we have a lot of laughs. I mean, you know, in session, out of session, I always say it's just as important to laugh in therapy as it is to cry. So, you know, we have a lot of fun. We really do.
Well, I know you and I have talked about business, and we laughed a lot. We didn't cry, thank goodness, but we've laughed a lot. And I just think what you're doing is exactly what you need to be doing, not just for the community, but for yourself and for the people around you. You're serving them every day. I want to thank you for being on the show, but sit tight because we're going to put you to the test.
Okay.
Okay?
You got it.
Next.
Yeah.
Here we go. Up next, we are putting Dr. Gina Innocente to the test with the M4 Big Money question right here on South Jersey Business. But first, a quick look at how you can check out past episodes of the show. As you are aware, management, marketing, money, and media are the essential parts of any business. And when you are running an institute of psychotherapy that focuses on relational therapy, you need to know how to mix up all 4 M's. So it's time for the M4 Big Money question with today's featured guest, Dr. Gina Innocente of the GIA Institute of Psychotherapy. Gina, are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's break them down. Let's talk about management and your management style. How do you manage the 2 businesses you run?
So again, I try to manage them kind of as one, where, you know, the people that are in the practice also act as supervisors and mentors to the people in the institute. So when it comes to management, you know, I'm a relational practice, so it all goes back to the relationship that you have with people. So I think it's, you know, creating an environment where people can grow and learn and feel comfortable and like really root for other people to grow. Like I won't tolerate competition within the staff. Like there's no place for it. There are plenty of people who need help. So I just won't have any of that. So I set some, you know, I have a huge manual, you know, it's like a binder like this big with lots of like, you know, structure in place. But again, I give people that freedom to be themselves and to do the work the way they want to do the work. And so I take that kind of approach of like lots of structure and lots of room for you to grow and to help each other grow.
That's great.
Yeah.
So let's get to the second M, marketing, and we're going to talk more about traditional forms of marketing. So I know you have business cards and things like that, but what other forms of marketing do you use to reach potential clients?
I think, you know, we do, we've been starting some things like just contacting old clients, you know, reaching out to them. How are you doing? You know, checking in. We've started, you know, tracking that kind of stuff. And tracking also, you know, one of the things that's important is to say like, okay, why do people come to us? But also, why do people not come to us? So we've recently been tracking a lot of that and seeing like, okay, where are the barriers? And one of the barriers we saw obviously was financially, people couldn't afford it. So this is where, again, the Institute came in, where it's like, we're going to be able to afford care at a lower cost for some people. And we have different tiers of treatment based on the level of experience. And so I think really, just getting out there, talking to other providers, going out and visiting people, having people come in and meet with the team, and we go out and meet with the team. I was at the high school, a couple of weeks ago, things like that. Just building those relationships that you have and getting to know people in the community.
That's great. It's really positive to hear. I know this is an offshoot of what we're talking about, but you're meeting people where they are. If they are at a place where they need it, but they don't feel they can afford it, you have a opportunity that's priced right for their potential situation. That's great. Speaking of money, it is the third M, and I don't want you to, it's a necessary evil, right? But how important is that to the equation? I mean, you have bills you have to pay, right?
Sure, absolutely, yeah. And I think, like anything, you get what you pay for. So I invest a lot in my therapists. I pay them well because that produces good work, which just brings in more business. So I think that's the biggest thing to remember is I'm not afraid to spend money to make money. And look, easier said than done, right? I mean, but.
Well, there's a philosophy out there that says if the business takes care of the employees take care of the customers, and the customers take care of the business, right? So I think you find that to be true, correct?
Absolutely.
All right, so let's get into the modern age.
Yes.
And we'll talk about the fourth M, which is media. Now, that'll include the social media.
Right.
And we did talk about, earlier in the show, we talked about how COVID was a big thing and how people relied on, that connection through social media. But then also any publicity or PR you get, I think we can throw that into media as well. Sure. And I know you're active in groups and things like that. So can you talk a little bit about the importance of social media and how it helps your business? Yeah,
I mean, I think it really allows people to see your personality too. I mean, people, the most important fit in therapy, the most important piece of therapy is clicking with your therapist, like that you guys have to feel that vibe to be able to work together. So it allows people to just see a little bit more of your personality. So, we've created videos, and people do funny things, they'll do serious things, they'll do little talks, even just put up pictures of themselves with their dogs, with their kids, so you get a little bit of an inside idea about who is this person that I want to go see and pour my heart out to. So that's one of the ways, and it's interactive. People get to ask questions, and we get to respond to them privately in direct messages. But
sure.
I think it just gives that extra exposure. And what I find is it's not really, it's like a mix of people don't just like Google therapist and then make an appointment. It's like they Google therapist, then they see you, and then they want to find out more about you.
Yeah.
So then they go and they check, oh, maybe something you wrote, or, where do you teach, or where do you do this or that? And then they'll look up some video that's there, and then they'll hear from someone, oh, well, I see this person. So they'll go back and forth. So I think having lots of different, places that they can look and see your work and what you do and what you're about and your personality is what makes them ultimately decide to come to you.
That's great. So quick last question.
Yep.
What is your favorite M and why of the four we just discussed?
I think management probably, yeah.
Okay.
I think just, again, that I really enjoy the people that I work with. And so I think managing them and also, having that collaborative working relationship is important, and it's fun, and it just adds to the joy of going to work.
I think that's great.
So.
All right, well, thank you for sharing the answers to your M4 Big Money question with us today.
Got it.
There you have it, Dr. Gina Innocente's well-balanced mix of management, marketing, money, and media. We have some more business content coming up, including another segment with today's featured guest. So stick around for more South Jersey Business with Joe Molineaux. Gina, we meet a lot of businesses that are involved in their community, and of course, you're definitely involved in your community. Mm-hmm. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Sure.
So I know you have children.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get involved in their school and the work that you and your wife, do you get involved in the school?
Yeah, we do a lot of stuff with the school, definitely. They have, their school is great. They do all sorts of activities in the community. They do volunteer stuff. We go on field trips. We we're just a small community, so we're together a lot, and it's just a really close-knit group.
So it's easy to pack people up and go volunteer for the day at like a food bank or something like that, right?
Yeah, lots of food donations, things like that. At Christmas time, we do all sorts of, the little trees where you take the tags and buy for families and everything. There's all sorts of opportunities for that.
You know, it dawned on me, the work you do definitely supports community because you do mental health and wellness, right? So you probably hear more about the need than the average person working in a business, right? So it's easy to go out there and say, well, we can do this or we can help in this way, indirectly and directly, of course, the work you do.
Right.
Speaking of directly, I understand you teach at Stockton.
I do, yeah.
So how long have you been teaching at Stockton?
I think I've been here about 5 years. I taught at ACCC for a number of years before that, but I'm teaching actually in the writing department. I teach argument and persuasion.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah,
that's
it's
great.
exciting.
So it's not directly related to the work you're doing.
No,
it's
just more, yeah, it's kind of something that's a little different and actually completely different than what I do in the other part of my life. So.
I hate to ask this, but is that, I mean, you teach it so you don't have to do what you do every day, right?
Just a little variety, and it also keeps, like, I think it's important to sort of be outside of a therapy room too. There are certain things I wouldn't know about, young adults and adolescents just from the therapy office. I get to see, kids in action. And so I get to see, like, oh, that's right, the social anxiety is really like out there. Like the kids aren't talking to each other the way they used to, and it's
so it's that perspective that you're gaining doing something else that is actually helping to keep you in tune.
Definitely.
That's like I can't use this word a lot on the show, but that's genius.
Thank you.
That's great. You found a way to help and be involved in the community,
absolutely.
do something you enjoy, and there's that back end benefit of staying in touch.
Yeah, because it's you can and everything. Therapy's an hour a week. You have the rest of your life out there. So to see people in different, just interacting in different ways and in an academic institution, completely different than how I would see people, showing up in my office.
Yeah. So besides that benefit and doing that, because clearly that's something you want to do, what else do you enjoy about teaching?
You kind of you play a little bit of a character. You get out there, you try to entertain, you try to get people interested. If they're not going to be interested in wanting to listen, they're not going to be engaged. So it's just I enjoy sort of the acting of it in some ways.
Yeah, I've had many professors here at Stockton and other places tell me that they're really painfully shy. Yeah. And they do put on a character.
Yeah,
it's actually like an acting role and that's one of their dark secrets, they're shy people.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't find you as a shy person, but I think it's important to understand that, and that does help you as well as help the individual.
Absolutely.
So do you think you're going to continue to teach in the future?
Oh, absolutely.
Are you going to mix up the classes, try some different things?
I would love to, I would love to. Really, I've been teaching the same class for the last 5 years. I would definitely be open to something else. You have to change it up every couple of years. Now with AI, I'm just trying to figure that out. That's like the latest thing. Like, what do you do here with this?
Yeah,
and,
that's
there's
what
a lot of opportunities to,
right now,
absolutely.
Right? So I do have one follow-up and final question for you. How important have those community connections, not just in your personal life, but through the education and through other opportunities you've had, even growing up, how important have those community connections been to your life and your career?
Like I said, I think it's everything, Joe. I think, like community is just, individuals, right? Having relationships with each other, and having relationships with other people then, So I think it all flows back and forth. The stronger an individual is, the stronger the relationships are, the stronger the community is. So that
may be one of the best answers I've ever received in the history of this show.
Excellent.
About how important has community been to your life and career. And I want to thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Thanks.
Once again, the guests here at South Jersey Business exemplify what it precisely means to be committed to their local community. Thanks again to Dr. Gina Innocente and everyone involved at GIA Institute of Psychotherapy for everything they're doing to help our community. And now it's time to turn the spotlight on Dr. Gina Innocente and gain some extra illumination on exactly what the GIA Institute of Psychotherapy offers and brings to the community right here in South Jersey. Gina, thank you for allowing us to turn the spotlight on your business.
Thanks, Joe, for having me here.
All right, so let's get right to it. What is it that you do in your practice, and what is it that the GIA Institute of Psychotherapy does?
Okay, so in the practice, we see clients, kids, adults, families, couples, provide psychotherapy services, helping anyone who has any kind of mental health issue or relational issue. And in the Institute, we train therapists to be better therapists.
That's a big undertaking, and I think we've already acknowledged that it's a huge need out there. So how does that happen? Talk about the people and the place and how that happens every day.
So, well, we have different ways of providing therapy. So we offer art therapy, dialectical behavior therapy, cognitive behavioral therapy, family therapy, couples therapy, emotionally focused therapy, EMDR. Those are all the different treatment modalities that we use, trauma-informed therapy. And then for the Institute, we use tons of supervision. We use videotaping of sessions when clients are comfortable with it and allow it. We do offer sliding scale rates and for families to see interns, like graduate school interns, at a very reduced rate. And as long as we can help to, they allow us to use some of their work for training our other therapists. So that's great. Or we'll do one-way mirror where you're in session and somebody will phone in, and say, hey, try this with the client, So that, which has been a tradition of therapy and family therapy for years and years. So it's really cool that we have that now.
Wow.
Yeah.
So the question, even though you kind of answered it in the first question when we talked about the what, when we talk about who you do it for, clearly there's two different groups. I mean, there's multiple groups under the therapy.
Right.
So let's go through those again, because you did mention individuals, singles, couples, I'm guessing, family.
Sure.
All different versions of the family unit, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. And what's nice with having different therapists that specialize with children and families is we do a lot of co-therapy. So I might see, the parents, and someone else might see the kids or the teenager. And sometimes people will all come at the same time, but we'll do things differently, and then we'll pull people together. I think we need to bring your mom in here for this session. So everybody gets their own individual therapist, but we also get to work as a team. So we're able to communicate and say, well, I think this needs to happen and that needs to happen. And it's a nice way to work, again, with the family's permission, obviously.
That's a great way to do it, and I think it offers more opportunity for the growth that the individuals need or the help that you need to give them.
And what I find is, I would not feel comfortable, and I don't know if I knew this as well before I was a parent, but I would not feel comfortable just dropping my 8-year-old and say, go talk to this person. I don't know who this person is. I want to be a little bit more involved in it, to make sure that, we're all on the same page here in terms of what everyone needs,
So the next question would be, it's the why, right? You got to look in the mirror a little bit. What drives you? What gets you up every morning to go there and do this kind of work? Because it can be challenging, but it can be very rewarding. So what is the why? Why do you do what you do?
So I just love it. I've always wanted to do it since I was young. I just always found people to be fascinating. And I think, when you can get inside someone's head and understand, their decisions all make sense, if you can get in there and understand it, no one's the villain of their own story. Everyone has their own perspective. So really being able to understand, that moment of understanding why you think what you're doing is good or okay or bad or whatever. There's just something about that that's so interesting. And there's not a client I have that I'm not fascinated with, so I just, and then watching people grow obviously is great.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, we talked about the returning the spotlight on the business, so we have to ask the question, what does the future hold for you, the practice, and the Institute?
Well, I think just continuing to grow out the Institute and really training, the next generation of therapists, which I'm really excited about, because again, it's not a need that's going away anytime soon. So.
Yeah, I was going to say you're doing an amazing job, but I think the future looks bright for people and their mental health, thanks to people like you that are doing it every day.
Thank you.
That was today's Spotlight, providing a clear view of what Dr. Gina Innocente and the GIA Institute of Psychotherapy is all about. We'll be right back. Well, that's the show. We had a solid business discussion with Dr. Gina Innocente of the GIA Institute of Psychotherapy. Once again, thank you to Stockton University and everyone that makes this program possible. Let's do it again next time. And until then, let's get growing, South Jersey. Thanks for watching.